Yeah, sure thing.
Hey, you sold that car yet?
Yeah, sold it to Carvana.
Oh, I thought you were selling to that guy.
The guy who wanted to pay me in foreign currency, no interest, over 36 months? Yeah, no. Carvana gave me an offer in minutes, picked it up, and paid me on the spot. It was so convenient.
Just like that.
Yep.
No hassle.
None.
That is super convenient.
Sell your car to Carvana and swap hassle for convenience. Pickup fees may apply.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. Welcome to our first episode of 2025. I'm your host, Terry Lipshetz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee and co-host of the program with Bruce Miller, editor at the Sioux City Journal and a longtime entertainment reporter. And we're ringing in the new year, but we're looking back at the past.
It was a big movie year. If you are making your own top 10 list at home, I'm interested in finding out what you had on it. Come on. What has to be on this year's list? Wicked. It was popular, right?
It was wicked good.
There you go, you Boston people. It was on your list, wasn't it?
Yes. So, we'll just come out of this right away, and I will admit that I have not seen as many movies as you have. Schedule and conflicts and other things. I don't even know what you would consider this. Would it get nominated for an Emmy, I guess, because it's not really a movie, but it was the one that looked at Springsteen's life and touring now in the past year, so I guess that's more technically TV, but it was a 90-minute movie. It's a single episode.
It depends on how they label it.
Right.
If they want it to be an Oscar nominee, then they'll put it into that. If they don't, if it doesn't make a long list, usually that's what the killer is, then they'll put it on the Emmy for the Emmy consideration.
Right.
It was Netflix, the greatest, all that assemblage of all those We Are the World people.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's another one.
That is going to be, I believe, in the Oscar race for Best Documentary. And it'll turn out, if it doesn't get in that, they'll flip it over to the Emmys. But they made them decide because too many years they were winning both of the awards.
Right.
And it wasn't giving them a fair shake.
It's kind of a mixed bag for me, at least personally. I mean, I know there's one film that I watched it on streaming. I'm assuming it's in your top 10, and that's, of course, the Jerry Seinfeld movie Unfrosted, right? That's in your top 10? That was so bad.
That would have been in my TV top 10, and unfortunately just it didn't make the cut.
Is that movie so bad it wouldn't even be nominated for like a raspberry? Even the raspberries, we're not touching that thing.
You know what? I liked it because you had to be a certain age to appreciate it. It had all those when we were kids. Remember when we'd watch those daytime cartoons, and we'd get all these commercials, and they were all pitched at getting us to buy the cereal that they were pitching, and so they have all of those as their little mascots are characters in this film, and it's like. Anybody who doesn't know who they are would be bored. Who are these people?
Yeah.
And why are we doing anything about them? For those over a certain age, and I think that's one of the things Jerry was looking for. It's we can make it for just a certain audience,
right? And
he has the clout to do it.
Yeah.
So
he certainly was not apologetic about what he did. I mean, I think he realizes this isn't high art that he did, and he was doing it for a laugh, and he brought in people that he's friends with, like Jim Gaffigan and so many others. And they were targeting, as he said, a certain audience. And I think he's fine with it. He probably financed a lot of it himself, and it is what it is. But, for me personally, and I'm looking back at the things I actually went to see in the theater, and I think this gets to some things we've talked to from time to time, how you're going to the theater now either for a big event movie or just that classic popcorn movie where a blockbuster. But I saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in March. I saw Inside Out 2 in July. I saw Twisters in July. I saw Alien Romulus in August. I saw Beetlejuice in September. The most recent one, which I saw a few weeks ago, right around Thanksgiving, and that was Wicked. And really, out of all of those, the only one that's probably on anyone's top 10 list is, of course, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. No, I'm just joking. It's Wicked. I mean, that but But that's kind of where I'm at with movie watching. It's
like one a month.
I'll get out there one every 8 weeks, 6-8 weeks, and it's got to be the big event movie to get me out there, and otherwise I'll just try to make time for it when it hits Netflix or Max or something.
You're the audience that they're worried about.
You should be.
Because, yeah, it's like, why aren't you coming?
I'll tell you why. Because I can just sit on my couch and I'm already paying $15 a month for Netflix, and every other channel's $15. Do I really want to? For me to take the kids to the movies, it's $40. It better be good.
And it's got to be kid friendly.
Yeah, it's got to be kid friendly, and you buy the popcorn, you get some slushies, and you're just like, you got to skip a mortgage payment or something.
Can I say I saw more than 300 movies this year? And that takes some work. It's part of the gig. And when I can see them at home in my setup, it's a lot easier than having to make the schlep to see the things. But there's good stuff out there. A lot of good stuff hasn't even come out yet.
Right.
But I had access to it, so they get to be on my list.
Yep.
Are we going to start with the bottom?
You can lead off here.
We'll work to the top?
Yeah, number 10, Beetlejuice, right? And you'll go from... No, I'm just kidding.
My 10 was Challengers. And that's kind of interesting because it wouldn't have made the list, but it was a fascinating way to look at tennis, which I don't know that we get that very often. We had the Williams sisters story, King Richard,
right,
that showcased tennis, but this was kind of fun. And it had that kind of sexy story, if you will, that went along with it. And Zendaya, I think, is, she's a future star forever. It's on there. It made the list. A Real Pain, number 9. And this is one that Jesse Eisenberg wrote and then called Kieran Culkin and said, hey, I'd like you to be in this with me. And it's about two cousins who go to Poland to kind of pay tribute to their grandmother. But they have nothing in common. They're like two opposites. It's The Odd Couple. Funny, touching, I think very telling about both of them. It gives them a great showcase. If you haven't seen it yet, it's one that you should put on the list. Then number 8, this ties into our TV picks.
Yes.
Saturday Night. And this is a look at that first episode of Saturday Night, what we call now Saturday Night Live. It wasn't called Saturday Night Live back then. When Chevy and Gilda and John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin were all part of that mix, and how chaotic it was and how nobody had faith in them. And I think that's a great 50th anniversary tribute to the show. And it's fun seeing how these people get very, very close to approximating the actors that they're playing. And it's quick, it's easy to see, and I believe it is available now on streaming.
Yeah, that's one where I didn't feel like paying money to go to the theater to see it, but it's on my list to definitely see because I would really like to see it. Do you know why, by the way, it wasn't called Saturday Night Live right away? And I think they wanted to call it Saturday Night Live.
Probably had a 5-minute tape delay or 5-second tape delay or whatever.
No, it was Howard Cosell he had a show called Saturday Night Live, and I think it was canceled after a season. I don't even think it made it the full season. Yeah, NBC tried to do a couple things there on Saturday night, and
well then, so hey, there's your value added content right there. Mm-hmm. 7, Nickel Boys, and we talked about them earlier. Interesting look at an abusive reformatory school, and the director, Ramel Ross, shoots it like a documentary, but also has some other techniques. And it's funny how you look at it, and it has big name stars that are in, like, where are they? I looked, and I thought, and they're just basically a voice because they're talking to somebody as someone. It's one of those ones that is not going to go down well with everybody, but it is a fascinating, if you're a film student, you're going to look at that like, oh my God, they really did something here. Honora, this is one number 6 that is so funny, so fun, so definitely in the hunt for Oscars. Mikey Madison plays a stripper who agrees to go with a Russian kid, basically. I would assume he's a teenager, maybe just early 20s at best, when he says, how would you like to spend a week with me? And then he proposes to her, and then his parents find out and come to the United States and try to stop everything. Incredible. And the Russian actors in this, There's where we're going to find détente. We need to look at more Russian actors and get them in American films. But Sean Baker directed it. A great film that'll be nominated for, I'm sure, Best Picture, Best Actress, and probably Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, sure thing. Hey, you sold that car yet?
Yeah, sold it to Carvana.
Oh, I thought you were selling to that guy.
The guy who wanted to pay me in foreign currency, no interest, over 36 months? Yeah, no. Carvana gave me an offer in minutes, picked it up, and paid me on the spot. It was so convenient.
Just like that.
Yeah?
No hassle.
None.
That is super convenient.
Sell your car to Carvana and swap hassle for convenience. Pickup fees may apply.
Then we come to number 5. It's popular. And this is definitely on the 10 best list of everybody's. It'll be on Oscar's 10 best list too, because it's going to bring in the crowd to the Oscar broadcast. When they screened it in Hollywood, they couldn't believe the reaction from people in the business who are jaded. And that's Wicked. And I think because it's so much money on the screen, because there's the part 2, and because it employed just a herd of people, Wicked has to be on there. And it was well done, right?
I liked it. My biggest gripe with it is it was long, and I really wish it wasn't split to 2 movies.
But you wouldn't have gotten all that dancing. Now, kids are doing that book dance that they do as they're walking through the school.
Yeah.
You can see more YouTube and TikTok videos and Instagram videos of people recreating it. So if it has that kind of an impact on people, I think it's there.
Yeah.
And I do think that Ariana Grande was good.
She was fabulous. I really liked her. I thought that the cast in general was really good, but yeah, I agree. Here's one interesting thing as a parent, and because everybody's bringing their kids, and it is a family movie. I mean, it's definitely something you could watch with the kids. But a lot of parents, and we're one of them, who thought, because we have a daughter, one daughter in particular, who's a reader, right? Loves reading books. And we were thinking like, yeah, Christmas is coming up. Get her the book Wicked. Nope.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
This is
this
is not appropriate reading for anyone of that age. Like it is, yeah, it's adult content.
It expands the story in a lot of ways that we didn't see.
Right. They definitely, the original musical, it took some adult content in a movie and kind of made it appropriate for all audiences.
And there are a lot of books in that series.
Yes.
So if you're an adult and you want to do a deep dive, there's stuff out there that you can read. But for what it is, it's a good movie. I think it deserves the spot. Number 4 is it hasn't come out in most places. September 5. And this is about the Munich Olympics, 1972, and how ABC covered the broadcast. And it's incredible. It's short. It keeps your interest. If you know any of the characters that are featured in this, the newsmen, the sports people, the only one that they really use as original footage is Jim McKay. And it's not an actor playing Jim McKay. It's the real Jim McKay. And also how far away things like that have come from broadcasting the truth. And it's fascinating. Peter Sarsgaard is very good as Ruin Arledge, and I think that could be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Okay, number 3, Amelia Perez. This is on. You can find this now on streaming, and the bad thing about it is that it's subtitled because it's a foreign language film, and you're reading like crazy, and it's a musical, but the story that it tells is so bizarre that you don't know where it's going to go or where it's turning or where it's twisting. Selena Gomez is in it, and she's great. And I think she might be turning up on the Best Supporting Actress list. And Zoe Saldana is in it, and she's good. She's an attorney. But it's about a drug dealer, a drug cartel dealer, who decides that he wants to change his sex. And what happens in the process of that with his family, with the drug cartel, with other people who know him. Number 2, coming out it should be on DVD this next week, Conclave. And this is about picking the Pope. Ralph Fiennes is the leader or the dean of the Cardinals who runs the show. And you think, it looks like a bunch of old guys running around in long dresses and gowns. No, it's a thriller. This is who is going to be Pope the big question. And who is not going to be Pope and why aren't they going to be Pope? What was the mark against them? And it holds your interest. They have other outside forces that come in. Isabella Rossellini plays a nun who comes in there and divulges some information that maybe they need to know. And it could help the position of women in the Catholic Church. And that will definitely be a player too in the best actor category, and best picture categories. I think it could have 3 in best supporting actor, but I don't want to go that far yet because there's too many good parts.
Okay.
And then we come to the drum roll, the number 1 movie of the year, and it's one that I know you haven't seen. It's called The Brutalist. I couldn't make the list having seen the movie and not put it on it. And it's so good. And it's about an architect who lives through the Holocaust, comes to the United States, sees that there might be hope for him over here, and he's a laborer. And people just wonder, who is this guy? And this rich kind of business titan finds the information about him and says, "You're an architect. Would you build me a building?" He builds a building that's incredible. And you find out a little bit more about his life. The interesting thing is Francis Ford Coppola tried to do a similar kind of take on things about an architect in Megalopolis. And it was just too goofy and odd. And this goes the right route with it. And it was shot for less than $10 million. Now,
Megalopolis was shot for more than $10 million, right?
Yeah, and that was in like the 300 million range. And it's going, wait a minute, if you could do this, and how he does it is just so perfect because he'll use found footage, travel logs from the time, and it works. And Adrian Brody is great as the architect, Laszlo Toth. So if you do get a chance to see this now in the new year, do take advantage, because I think The Brutalist is a great way of making a film, a great way of using your ingenuity to make sure that it sparks. And even though it's 4 hours long and it has an intermission, it holds your interest every minute of that movie.
4 hours. Whoa.
4 hours.
Wow.
And imagine, you know me, I'm the 90-minute king. I can't stand anything that goes over 90 minutes. But I think maybe the intermission was a good thing. So,
Yeah.
Brutalist, number 1.
There you go. So, yeah. So, is that out in theaters now?
In certain areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that one that's really never going to be big in theaters and it's just going to hit Max or something? And
I think it will have a run.
Yeah.
I think because they'll do it as a very kind of specialty thing.
Okay.
Try to make you feel like, oh, we got to do like the old days where we have premieres and we bring out the people. And I would assume probably during the voting time for the Oscars, because that's how they'll get the audience.
Wow. Yeah. 215 minutes.
Yeah.
That is a healthy movie.
It's built in so that with the intermission, it comes at a right point.
Okay.
If you were streaming it, you could watch the first half one night.
Okay.
And then come back the next night and watch the second half. And you'd be fine because you remember everything.
Okay. I don't think I'll rush out to the theater to see it, but it's definitely one that I want to check out. I like your list here. I think there's a lot of things and I think what I like about this list, Bruce, is I've only seen really Wicked. That's basically it. But it's a good point for me to start on things that I should also catch up on. I saw my popcorn flicks. Now this is what I have to settle into and check out.
Well, and I didn't have Dune Part 2 on there.
Yeah.
And Dune Part 2 was big at the beginning of the year, but I think that's going to be overlooked. A Complete Unknown is coming out now during the holiday season, and that's about Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And Timothée Chalamet is incredible as Bob Dylan, but I think the story kind of wanders maybe a little too much.
Sure.
You've heard about The Substance, which is the one where Demi Moore has a younger version of her. The Apprentice, which is the Donald Trump story in his younger years. Nosferatu at Christmas, a horror film at Christmas. What is this?
Right.
And it's so visually interesting that I think it deserves to be, given that kind of attention. But it is scary. If you do watch it sometime at home, don't watch it at late night because you won't sleep.
Well,
I thought Nosferatu Count Orlok was in my basement. So, yeah, no.
Terry doesn't watch scary things.
Does not happen, right?
I think that's a solid list, and it gives me something to work on over the coming weeks and months as we head into Oscar season. Of course, if you missed it, head on back to our previous episode, which is the top 10 TV shows of 2024. So we had television, and now we have movies, and now we're going to be back again, in the coming week, and we'll just kind of move into our new season of programs, of episodes.
If you do a deep dive back to some of our earlier podcasts, you might even get some of the interviews that are related to the shows. So Absolutely. I'm not telling you to go back and listen to them because you go, oh, really? But you might get some content there that you're interested in.
We appreciate you all listening. We appreciate, of course, everybody tuning in every week, episode after episode, week after week here at the Streamed and Screened podcast. So wishing you all a happy new year, happy holidays, and enjoy the festivities, and we'll be back again with a new episode of Streamed and Screened.
Yeah, sure thing. Hey, you sold that car yet?
Yeah, sold it to Carvana.
Oh, I thought you were selling to that guy.
The guy who wanted to pay me in foreign currency, no interest, over 36 months? Yeah, no. Carvana gave me an offer in minutes, picked it up, and paid me on the spot. It was so convenient.
Just like that.
Yeah.
No hassle.
None.
That is super convenient.
Sell your car to Carvana and swap hassle for convenience. Pickup fees may apply.